All right. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Sunny, and I'm back again with another episode of Sunny Talking. On today's episode, I'm here with a very special guest. I'm here with Alhaqanah.
Yeah, you got it better that time, bro. Better than the
Yeah,
first time,
yeah.
for
The first
sure.
time I butchered it, but was
Yeah,
good, bro. How you been, man?
I'm good, bro. Just doing the work, man. Chilling, just taking it day by day, man. Best I can. What about you? You good?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Pushing forward, working. Just another day above ground is a blessed day. You know what I mean?
You kind of hear that. All praises.
Yeah. Word. So on this podcast, well, you've been a guest prior, but so on this podcast, we like to give people basically a rundown of from the beginning to where you are in recent times, and just give them a breakdown of your life and everything. But before we get into that, can you let them know a
You
quick
get it? Hold on. Give me 1 second. I think you can hear that in the background. I couldn't tell it now. It's like a little chime I got for every hour.
No, I don't
Uh,
hear anything.
you good? So, all right, go ahead. My bad.
No, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so if you can just let the people know. Matter of fact, hold on. I'm gonna just start all over, all right?
You good?
Yeah. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Sunny, and I'm back again with another episode of Sunny Talking. On today's episode, I'm here with my boy Alhaqanah.
Yep. What's up?
What's good, bro? And he's been a previous guest on this show. And before we get into this, can you just give the people that aren't familiar with your last episode, can you let them know a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, no problem, bro. So, I am from the school of thought that, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the true biblical Israelites.
Mhm.
We understand that it's a culture and a lifestyle, and we just, we keep the laws of God. And so I've been doing this thing in this walk, what we say, walking in this truth for the last 2.5 years now, 3 years, almost going on 3 years strong. So, we just teach the people that, we got to come back to God's laws, man. That's what I've been doing for the last 3 years.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up. Okay, and all right, so we'll get into a little bit of that shortly. We'll probably get into that quicker than we did last time, since you've already been on the show. If people want to do a deep dive on like me and yours relationship, our history, and like
Right, right.
just like you growing up, we'll dive into it a little bit, but we don't have to get super into it. So, let the people know where you were born and raised.
Born and raised in Brooklyn, lived here all my life. Um, you know, kind of went to school in Manhattan and in Brooklyn. But yeah, predominantly just living in Brooklyn all my life.
Okay, okay. And how was it growing up in Brooklyn?
It was dope, bro. I was thinking back on it not too long ago about how just the schools I went to, my upbringing, I was always kind of raised in what you would call, I guess, Christian school, Catholic school,
Hmm.
like all my life until I hit like 10th grade. I think we talked about it a little bit on the last show that we
Hmm.
did. For about, yeah, a good portion, like 14, 15 years, was just all Catholic school, Christian school. And I finally went to public school and I just kind of got a whole different taste of like how certain people operate, just different belief systems. And that was good too, It was like everybody who I knew before was like professed that they loved God, they knew God, all that, and it was kind of more of a focus. And when
Yeah.
I went to high school, I just saw a whole different way that people live, and it was definitely something to soak in and see, how people lived and what
And
they
then
did with.
sorry to cut you off, but
Are you good?
in the private schools that you went to, were they specifically like not the actual school, but like the demographic, were they mainly Christian and from like Catholic, like
Yeah,
Christian
exactly.
Catholic backgrounds?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was one school I
'Cause-
went to. It
No,
was
sorry, my bad, sorry, because I know that necessarily just because like they go to those schools, they don't always have to be from that specific religion. Like I know that some, like let's say some Muslims or like some Jewish people, they might send their kids to those schools just because it's private. But
Nah, I was like that, Brody.
okay,
It was
okay,
like
okay.
literally everybody there was like that. It was, people, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, so-called African Americans. Like we was just out there. Like it was just us. So it was like it wasn't. I really had no real dealings with anybody who was Jewish or Muslim or anything of that nature growing up until, like I said, until I got really to high school. So all those people
Even
was
being
like,
from Brooklyn,
hmm? Who's that?
even being from Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it obviously, but it was like
Okay, yeah.
really going to school with them and like having daily interactions with them. Nah, I wasn't to high school because everybody there was, either from the islands or they was, that was it, or just you were black or from the islands, Puerto Rican, that's it. And everybody, how our family be super religious into Catholicism, things of that nature. So that was the upbringing, like I said, until like I hit 10th grade, and then it was a little different.
Okay. So so that's interesting. I always wanted to ask, like,
Yeah.
me being from the Bronx and shit, like we had like our little groups of like there's the Albanians are big over there, and like there's certain like the Vietnamese, there's a bunch of Vietnamese and all that. Like I went to school with a couple of them. So you would say in Brooklyn you don't really see like the hood Jews that would mingle with the regular folk and all that.
You said say that one more time. The what Jews?
Like the hood, not hood Jews, but like the not necessarily hood, but like the regular.
I
You
ain't
get
never
it?
met. I mean, you meet, yeah, you seen Jewish people here and there, for sure. It's like Brooklyn Eastern Parkway is like a good portion of the mix of like, Jewish people and, the real Jews. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like, they don't intermingle or talk like that. Like even now, you see all the gentrification that's happening and you don't really see like a mix of like, oh, everybody hanging out. It's like their community with their community, our community with our community. They out there building, underground tunnels, and we just keeping it real.
Yeah, I'm
So
definitely gonna need your perspective on that in a few. But as far as damn, I had a question. Sorry, can you damn what was the thing you just said? You said basically that they stood to themselves and you
yeah,
guys stood to
just
yourselves.
you was
You
asking me
didn't
about hood Jews and everything, so I was like, I don't know, bro. So
yeah, you
you
don't
know,
really
yeah, and see,
that you know of like they could have probably been white on the wider side, you didn't know that they were necessarily Jewish or whatever.
oh, but you saying like just like, seeing white people like hanging out with me when I was younger? Nah, or my friend group. Nah, we didn't see that, bro. Nah. Growing
Okay.
up, early 2000s, it was not like that. Nah.
Okay, now
In
I just
college,
remember
my
what I
bad.
wanted to ask. So, can you speak on the gentrification of Brooklyn? I don't know if we got into that last time.
No, I don't think we did. It's definitely something that you've been just it became very clear to me when I started seeing more like families. Like it was at one point where it was like you just saw, one or two like middle-aged or like early 30s, like an early 30s white dude who was just, you would be on a train station, you would see him like, oh, I'm on an A line. So you would see them starting to get off like past Nostrand Avenue. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it used to be like a cutoff where it was like, all right, they Clinton, Washington, they Lafayette, they downtown Brooklyn. But like even when I was younger, growing up, like late 90s, like it was definitely like it was a mix, more mixed for sure. But I know I used to live right where the Barclays is at. Like
Hmm.
we was right off of the Barclays Center. Like we used to live, me and my family used to live over there. And it just, you just don't now there's like $1 million properties over there. So it's a little different. But like
Hmm.
you said, like when I was growing up, it was just like, all right. I just noticed it when I realized it was like the train. It was like, okay, now there's way more, people coming past Nostrand all the way down to like, like Rockaway Avenue, Euclid Avenue. It's like, oh, you never really saw that, and now it's like a common thing. So that's one like indication that I always noticed. But yeah, the gentrification is interesting, bro. Because I would say even more recently, I've been noticing that what you wind up getting with gentrification is way more abundance in like food options and healthier options. Like not even like you just better supermarkets. Like I've noticed that just recently going up Nostrand and I think that's Nostrand and Fulton. It's not too far from my crib.
Hmm.
It's like, now they got a Chick-fil-A. Now they got a Shake Shack. They got all like those like things that you would only see in downtown Brooklyn and Manhattan. It's like it's here now. And that's one like aspect that you can notice from it that's you might say it's a bad thing, but definitely it's definitely way more definitely more, I would say more diverse than I ever noticed. It was like used to be like times where like the block would get shot up like once or every other week, and now it's like I don't see that over here anymore. Like it don't really happen.
Okay,
So
damn, that's crazy.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
it's funny that you mentioned like the train situation, because then that just brought me to like I related it to my like growing up in the Bronx, like and working downtown, and like the fun like the thing was like the train could be packed
Right.
either on like the D or the 4 train or whatever, and you would know like, all right, I'm gonna get a seat after 59th Street because all the white people about to get off. Or
Get
like
off
worst
right here.
case scenario, like 125th, the white people are gonna get off. I'm gonna be able to grab a seat real quick, probably. You get it? So
Right.
then like you saying like, oh, you started seeing people like stay on after certain stops is like, oh shit is changing.
Shit
Like
is
I could
changing.
definitely
Yeah.
relate to that word. And another thing I wanted to ask you, you mentioned you wouldn't see like certain shops like outside of like the downtown Brooklyn area or like Manhattan or whatever. How
Right.
long in your memory has like downtown Brooklyn been a thing? Like has it always kind of been like a little poppin' area, or was that
Yeah,
a
it's always
recent
kind of
thing?
downtown has always been like for sure commercial stuff, but I guess I noticed it more like they had opened I don't know if you know Atlantic Terminal was always there, but they did a renovation where they opened that mall there. It's like we call it Atlantic Mall, but it's like, it's got Applebee's. It's just, we just started seeing more commerce there. That was even way before the Barclays, and it was just like it was always downtown Brooklyn was always like a commercial area, but it definitely kicked off like now like that area is unidentifiable as Brooklyn. It's like very much like new high rises going up, uh things of that nature. Like but you still see a mix of our people, but it's like because it's a shopping area, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and you go down to Montague Street where all like, the nice residential buildings are, like like see our people there. Like I used to live in that area, residential area where it was like a good mix. I remember I was young, I was only like six, like I think it was either 5 or 6 years old. Like I remember seeing like affluent or like decently well off like our people just living there with like some white people. But now it's like I have not seen it. Like my mom is from Red Hook, so like I noticed like, down there, like yeah, it's still like us, like in the projects. But
Mhm.
most part, like, you see it everywhere. It's like South Brooklyn was always kind of like that. But it was like even like the small pockets that we had of like decent like affluent neighborhoods, it was just kind of dwindled away. So I've definitely noticed that as well. But to talk to your point about just like seeing more like commerce and stuff, it's just all part of like the system that we live in, bro. It's just like it's more demand. They feel like, they're gonna get more dollars from their people. They're gonna have nicer
Mhm.
uh infrastructure, nicer things when like they raise up the property value. So it's like I understand both aspects of it. So, but it
No,
still
yeah,
is,
definitely.
yeah. But it's an interesting topic about just how like, what I always talk about even when I'm out there teaching is just like they like our people are like the highest consumers.
Hmm.
Like so-called black dollar is like well known to be like our money just goes out quick. Like within seconds of us getting money, it's like it's out to like not it doesn't stay in the community. I know you might have seen like
Yeah,
studies about
I'm familiar with this. Like, I think it's I think it was like out of $100, $95 would go outside of the black community or
black
something like
community,
that.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just like and even different other stories about like how fast that dollar leaves the hand of the black community. And
Hmm.
I kind of always like when that study came out, it was always like, okay, that's interesting because you see it, like in the sense of like you see like an Indian person in an Indian community, like they go into them for their supermarket, they go into them to their restaurants, they go in there. Like what us is like you don't see it as much as like we hitting up the McDonald's, we hitting up, the chicken spot over here. Like it made sense, but so it's interesting to see like they're definitely like coming to the community where we are at, and it's like the money's gonna get distributed there too. They know that we're gonna give our money to them as well, but it's just interesting like that spike to like, oh, okay, now we're gonna open the Whole Foods because the demographics are changing. So
Yeah. And now, it's to me though, like as of recent, I've been seeing like little stats come out here and there, like, and they talk about like who are like the biggest like income groups in America, and then like the Indians were number one, and it was like black people was last at 10, and then but the white people weren't too far behind. It was just the
oh
Hispanics
word.
ahead of the white people, yeah. And then it's mainly the Asian groups. So it's just all types of Asians, like Chinese, Taiwanese, Pakistani, Indian, but the Indians were number one. You get it?
Oh, I hear what
So
you
it's
mean.
just so I just see like now it's just probably more of a cultural thing, like, and like societal norms, like emphasizing on education and shit like that, and working for yourself and shit like that. You get it?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, it's a fact.
But nah, definitely, I definitely agree like with you. Like the power of the black dollar is a big contributing factor, and it makes sense why everybody goes after it. Like everybody goes after the black community, either for the influence or just to be the consumers.
Right. That's see, and if you don't mind, I would love to get a scripture on that because that's something that we talk
Oh
about
yes, definitely.
constantly. Like when we're out there, we talking. It's just when you read the Bible, it's we tell we try to inform people that it's a cultural book that was written by a group of people for them and by them, right? And with influence from their God, right? So you notice the story about Moses and the Red Sea. If you know about Egypt, like the Israelites left Egypt, they're going into their land, and God gives them the rundown, like okay, how things are going to be. Like you're gonna do this, that, and the third, and if you don't do it, I'm going to do certain things to you that you're not going to like, basically, right? So like just to
Mhm.
quickly simplify it. So quickly, I'm just going to hit it. This is the book of Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1, right? And it says, and it shall come to pass if thou shalt hearken. So if you listen diligently
Mhm.
unto the voice of the Lord thy God to observe and do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord will set thee on high above all nations of the earth, right? So you read Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 15. 1 through 15 is telling you all the blessings that God will give you if you just do what he says, right? And then when you read past 15, it says everything that if you don't listen, I'm going to do these what they call curses to you, right? And so one of the curses, the reason why I'm bringing it up real quick, is that other nations are going to get above you very high, right? Let me sort of pull that real quick. So that's why we talk about it because like we see it living out in our day-to-day lives, right? Like we can just talk about it like just shooting the shit about how like, oh wow, it's like the black dollar is big, but it's everybody comes after, like you said, but it's because God already prophesied that that would happen for our disobedience, right? So
Mhm.
this is it, right? See if I can pull it real quick. Yeah, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 43. And it says, the stranger that is within thee shall, so the same chapter, Deuteronomy 28, this is verse 43. It says, the stranger that is within thee shall get above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Verse 44, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So what I always ask people is like, okay, so we've been in this place for either like for the last 500 years, like your people, like you've been here, you're indigenous to this place, you know what I'm saying? Like you've been here before they even came here. And like
Mhm.
you've built this place. And it's like, how is it that you said the Indian or the Asian can now come here? That's the stranger, because you're more of a home person to this land than that Indian immigrant that came here like 2 generations ago, right? But somehow they can open their business in your neighborhood. They can open a chino spot right in your neighborhood, and are people going to go there? It's because curses like that in the Bible tell you that the stranger is going to come within your community and is going to get above you very high, and you're going to come down very low. So that's just plays into the effect of how we even get in this situation is because of our disobedience, and you see it look like the curses play out in our day to day. So that's why I just wanted to hit that point real quick. But I when you hit it, when you said that, I was just like, oh wow. I was
Yeah,
like,
it just
you live the
reminded me.
book, bro. It's like it is what it is. Like if you live the book, it tells you what's going to happen, and you just even say without us even knowing that it's in the book. Like, oh,
Yeah,
other people going to come after our dollar. It's just the book playing out for itself.
nah, definitely. Real quick, you said when you referred to the outsider strangers coming into the land or whatever, and you said that the people that were being taken care of, I mean that were not taken care of, sorry, but basically that
Israelites,
was
you can say.
yeah, the Israelites are people that's taken being taken advantage of.
Right.
You said that this is their land. Do you mean just because we've been here longer, or you of the
Yeah, this one in
belief
the sense that
of
we've been here longer. This is not our
okay,
original land, but it's like the
okay,
so-called Dominican,
because
the so-called Native American, the so-called Mexican, like this was their land before it was taken by somebody else, right? And the so-called like the people that came off the boats and slavery to help build this nation, like it's just interesting. Like you see it in the ADOS movement and certain of those aspects. Is like we built this country, but somehow the wealth isn't accumulating. It's not like it's getting better. It's like we're still projected to be, like you said, the lowest income communities in the place that we built. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
that's why in that aspect.
Yeah, because I was just trying to clarify that you weren't meaning like, because I know that you're not well, I don't want to speak for you, but last time we spoke on this, you said that you weren't of the belief of so well, or you, I don't want to speak for, but that basically that you're not all the way there with the idea of black Native American type of thing, and that
Right.
like
Well,
the Aborigine theory and all that type of stuff.
you gotta enlighten me more on that Aboriginal theory because what we teach is that again the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites, right? And we're all
Yes.
the same people, just with varying shades, but we are the same people, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when you read in the book in Second Ezra, it tells you about how the you want a little more history about the Israelites. You know that there's a split between
Yeah, the 12 tribes.
right, the 12 tribes, right? And now 10 of those tribes get basically sent away into a captivity known as the Assyrian captivity, right? The
Hmm.
group of Assyrians, like the modern day Syrians, right?
Yeah.
Or to some effect, those people, right?
Hmm.
And they wind up believing, the book tells you that they wind up believing and going to a place called Arsareth where no man dwelt, right? And
Hmm.
that's how we will show people that the 10 lost tribes that you look into like the information about biblical historicity and things of that nature, like that's a common thing, like who are the 10 lost tribes, right? Because they get split, they go into captivity, into the Assyrian captivity, and then nobody can find them anymore. It's because those people came over here on boats to the Americas and they
Yeah.
inhabit this place that nobody like dwelt before. They were the first
Yeah.
inhabitants, right? So that's kind of why I would say that yes, the
So you
Aboriginal
do, yeah, no, so you are part of that, but not necessarily that this is the old world.
original land.
Yeah,
Right, yeah,
okay.
no.
Well, you will need more evidence, if anything, to
If you could bring me something that says that, but I wouldn't see it happening because
mm,
you when you look into the some of those records of Christopher Columbus and his Hebrew orators, they tell you that these people will tell you like I remember when I was growing up, it was always a mystery to me because I would always hear in school this the information that I was given was, oh, the Native Americans came over here through the Bering Strait and they walked across
yeah,
Alaska
the
and
land bridge, yeah.
right, and that's old information that now has come to light. You look at more recent papers, like they kind of refute that argument anymore, right? So the Bible tells you one thing, and then like it's like some scientists will try to tell you one thing, but the Bible tells you that there's a group of people that came to a land that no man dwelt, and the place was called Harsareth, right? And
Hmm.
that's the Americas as we know today. That's like the ten
I've
lost
never
tribes.
heard that name yet, but I
Yeah,
like
the
that.
Harsareth, yeah.
I'm gonna do some research on
Do some research on that, and you'll learn that through. I'm blanking on his name, but Christopher Columbus, he brought a Hebrew interpreter with him
that.
over here to the Americas.
Yeah, yeah.
What I asked
And,
people was, why would he do that? Because they already had the assumption that these people
yes.
had like, because they're dwelling in Europe. They don't see the 10 lost tribes. They have to think that okay, they gotta be somewhere else. So they go to a land that nobody really has gone to, and they bring this Hebrew
And
interpreter, and
in some tellings of this story, that Hebrew, even though sometimes the term is kind of interchangeable, but it's like the it was a more, and sometimes like he had a more with him, because then like there's also that angle of the Moorish tribes.
right.
But
Well, the
then,
thing about more is that,
mhm,
what we talk about is that the more was kind of like a blanket term in the same context as today
just
as
saying like black.
black, right?
Yeah,
So
I
it's
know
like
that.
a more could be Arab man, a more can
Hmm.
be and
Okay,
but
yes, yes.
who's in North Africa, right? Or an Israelite, right? So it's like we don't teach that all black people are Israelites. So it's like, yes, Moors could have been a collection of anybody who was dark hued. So that's I'm following what you're saying though, bro.
Oh yeah, definitely. No, we definitely on the same page. But yeah, I'm familiar with all those stories and stuff like that. But
Right.
also like what made me because what made me start believing some of that like some of that those theories of like, oh, this might be the old world, is because like certain evidence was with like camels originating in America, and like because they come from like the, not, was it camel? Sorry, hold on, I don't want to misspeak. But I believe the camel does come from the alpaca type of thing. Like they're part of the same genus, and like lions originated in America. And
Why don't we see lions here though? I'm confused.
we still have lions. We have mountain lions though, but like the bigger ones,
Yeah,
they
right.
moved on. Mhm.
Okay, I get
And
what you're
then
saying.
and
All
then
right.
in the lower and in South America they have the jaguars and all that.
Right, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Hmm.
But some
Well,
one
also horses. Horses. That was the main one.
yeah, I think that's the
Horses.
one I was gonna say is like I
Yeah.
remember some people saying that the horses originated from those places. So another little tidbit of history that you can, it's a bunch of history in the Bible, right? And so when you learn like when you read in the book of First Kings, it tells you about, you learn about King David and King Solomon. These are some of the wisest men in all of the Israelite history, and it talks about how when Solomon was building this temple, they went to these people called the Philistines, right?
Hmm.
Not to be confused with the Palestinians of today, but those are the same people that occupy that land that they're in right now, right?
Hmm.
And what the Philistines were known for, they were a seafaring people, so they knew the seas very well. They would go back and forth, right? And so you learn about this voyage that took about 3 years to and back, that the Philistines would go to grab gold, right?
Hmm.
So you would so that's one of the cases that we can say that they like people knew that there's a place that was over here, right? A lot of archaeology will prove that that was kind of in Brazil where they landed. You can learn about how the fact that like we have some documents that I can bring some links to, but how the Aztecs and the Mayans, they didn't really mess with the Olmecs, right? Because the Olmecs, what we would argue, are those Hamitic or Philistine people who were those sea traders. They're a different breed. When you look at those Olmec heads, they look like African heads, right? But
Hmm.
those are Africans, but they're not like the same people as us, right? And they did not mesh with each other, the Olmecs and the Aztecs, things of that nature, right? But that just showed you that there was a back and forth between this land for certain resources back to what I would call the old world. They would come to this new world
Yeah.
with the resources and come back. One last tidbit that you can look into. This is called I believe the they either call it the cocaine pharaoh or the cocaine sarcophagus,
Oh yes,
where
I've seen that. Yes,
they
yes.
found that cocaine was found in the system of the pharaohs in Egypt. Some of the tombs of like they were either monks or they were some of the pharaohs, right? Or the
Yeah, it was
hierarchs.
a pharaoh. Yeah.
And the only thing that people, so you know a little bit about this is how would those people get cocaine if cocaine is only
Originates in
found
South
in
America.
South
Yeah.
America, right? So there
Yeah.
was definitely a back and forth.
And marijuana
trade.
too.
Okay, I
Eh,
didn't know about that, but possibly that
Yeah.
too. But that's the
No,
thing.
that
It's like,
was found in the same spot.
oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
just like, you start to put these things together. It's like there was some travel between this old
Yeah.
world, whatever you want to believe is the old world and new world. There was some back and forth between it. So it could be that, horses would have been brought over here or they weren't brought over here. But I know that whole idea of the cocaine being in a pharaoh's, found traces of cocaine in that pharaoh's body when you can only find cocaine in the regions of South America.
Yeah, but there's
It's
plenty of stories of like during going back centuries of like different cultures coming to the Americas, like the Vikings, like before the
right. Yeah.
specific Euros. You get like the main storyline that they want us to follow, like
Right. Exactly.
the Eurocentric history. You get it?
Yeah.
So
I
it's
get what
like the Africans, and then there was one I forget. The name is blanking on me, but so allegedly the predecessor of Mansa Musa had took about 10,000 men in ship and went east. I mean went west, sorry,
Mhm.
to a different land and never came back. You get it? And that was a story from back in the day. So it's just like there's there's little bits of history here and there of like people coming to America um before the Europeans came over.
Right.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
another like little story that I like to bring up sometimes is
Mhm.
there's a story about some people are doing the cartography. Is it cartography? I
Like
always
maps and
forget
stuff.
then
Yeah.
the map.
Cartography.
He basically doing the maps of Australia, right? And there were
Okay.
two Englishmen, and this is like their first time in Australia. No, the English haven't come to Australia yet, and they're
Mhm.
doing the maps. They get lost. They run into a bushman. The bushman starts talking to them in English. And they're confused. They're like, yeah, what the fuck? How the hell you know English? And then he's just like, oh nah, I travel to Taiwan all the time to do trade. And there's like just because this land was unknown to you doesn't mean like these people haven't been moving
Oh,
around
yeah.
this whole time. You get it?
Exactly. People move around, bro. That's the thing. Like we're nomadic. Like the human race is a nomadic group, so it's like people move around. It's not like everybody stayed in the same place forever from the beginning of time. people whose land was originally their land, they moved on, they made it, they took a new land. Like it's just how things work. So it's I definitely would agree with that, bro. It's I think the what the European uh way of thinking is that they are the predominant race that are so smart and they know everything. And so the history that they have to tell people is like, oh, we conquered this or we found this and we did that. But it's like when you look a little deeper, you find out that they didn't actually. So I agree with
Yeah.
that. People never really talk about the history of, the Silk Road and
Hmm.
the so-called Chinese man, like, what he was doing in that area, right? So it's like obviously, you learn about what they either call the Orient, and it was really just when you look at the word Orient, it's just like the land basically of the East, right? So it's like and it's like the east of where the Europeans dwelt. So they put a label on that, and it's just like they don't know much about what was going on in the East because obviously they didn't conquer that land at that time. So yeah, so much history about I'm sure about the different travels between the Asian groups and what we would call Japhetic groups between those islands and things of that nature for sure. So. We definitely
Yeah.
can't just take the white man's idea of history at face value.
No, yeah, definitely. And then I also feel like you also gotta kind of take like different like look into everything and then try to find your own correlation, then just make it make sense for you in your brain.
Yeah, but only pushback I would say to that is that I am from the understanding that there is really only one truth. Like everybody says that they have their own truth, but there really sometimes can only be one truth. And so it's like, what is that truth? People might have their stories or and give credence to certain stories of what happened in history, but obviously you got to do your due diligence to search that out and see the best you can. But I can't say that if that the sky is blue and somebody says the sky is purple, we can't just be like, okay, we can disagree that, you got to find your truth. It's like, there's certain like immutable facts that,
Hmm.
have to be kind of agreed upon to some degree. You know what I'm saying? But I hear what you're saying. I get where you're coming from with that as well. I think
No,
you
yeah.
should always look into things and see, for themselves if it resonates with their spirit, if it's true or not.
Hmm. No, yeah, definitely. So so what are some of the well, I feel like we're jumping all over the place, but we got into basically to
Okay.
nowadays. But I feel like we can leave the past in the past. 'Cause, as far as like with the work that you do now, because I don't think we really got into it too much. As like with the, with the preach, because would you consider you're not a preacher, but spreading the word with
Right.
you working out there, spreading the word. Like what are some of like the craziest moments you've been through?
Just recently, it happens where people. It was one time I was in Times Square. That was the first, and that was when I first joined my group that I'm in, right? We
Hmm.
was out there in Times Square. We were out there every Thursday for the most part, just teaching on 47th Street around there, Times Square, right?
Hmm.
And one brother was on the mic, just talking, and he tried to call a brother over. He was with his girl, and he came over for a second, and they a little quick little argument. Like we didn't even argue with him. It was just more like he didn't like what was being said. What we wind up doing a lot of times is like we'll talk to people, but we don't like just let you just say that, not you can say what you want, but it's just like we're gonna what we call rebuke you if it's like you're not walking in accordance with what we believe that God has destined for our people, right?
Yeah.
So and a lot of times when that happens, people's spirits get riled up and they want to sometimes they get aggressive. So that was the first time that a brother got aggressive with us that I saw where it was like nothing happened, but it was like he was pacing back and forth and then he was like, he walked over to the corner. I'm watching him the whole time. And he was like, he was trying to dig in his girl's purse. And now I'm just like, all right, he's trying to dig in the bag right now. Like, I don't want nothing to really pop up. Is I could see his girl trying to tell him to not do it. And he's from far away, but we're not scared about things like that because like we know that the Most High protects us in those aspects. But it was just interesting to see like that was my first time seeing like damn, like people really would want to hurt you just with
Wait,
saying certain things.
what ticked them off?
Bro, I don't even
Because you
remember
said it
now.
was a rebuke, and it's just like,
But
all
that's
right,
what I'm
bro.
saying.
If you don't believe, and they tell you you're gonna go to hell, bro, it is what it is. You just go about your
We don't
business.
do that. We don't do that. But it's just like, yo, bro, you gotta stop doing this. You gotta stop doing that. Like this is what God wants for you. And we don't be going hard at them. We be trying to disrespect. We don't disrespect people. But I think the word. there's a scripture that says the word is sharper than any two-edged sword cutting asunder, right? So it's like this word is what hurts people.
Yeah.
Like the word of God is like when you notice that, like, okay, I'm living in sin, I'm not living in the right way. Like you might not say it, but your spirit knows it. And so when those words come at you, and if you're not living right, sometimes I think that they just cut people deep and like they get into their feelings. It happens time and time again. But that was just one of the first times I noticed it, where it was like, bro's going to dig in the bag, digging this girl's purse to try to grab something. It winds up, it happens, right? It was one in recent time. We was out there and we go all around. Like we go to Jersey, we go to New York. It's predominantly where we stay. So we was out there in Rutgers University. Like we would be out there on late night, just talking to college kids. Like they, we just talk to them. We keep it a little more chill than regular camp. Like if you've noticed Israelites on the street, we just like you think that we just rah rah rah, yell 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 on the podium,
And
things of
there's,
that
and
nature.
there's different factions too, because
There's
that's the
different
thing
factions,
too.
exactly. So like we'll be have like that kind of traditional camp that's kind of like
Abrasive.
huh? One more time?
I said you. That's a camp that's kind of abrasive.
You would call it abrasive, but I wouldn't call it, I wouldn't say that. I would say more like traditional in the sense of like, we just have standards, we have two readers, and there's a speaker with a microphone, right? That's like the traditional camp that like you'll
Oh,
know
okay.
people, right? And then what we wind up doing,
I
we'll
never
go out on
noticed that. Yes, sorry, I'm cutting you up. But I did. I never noticed that there is usually two people on each side with two Bibles open,
right.
and then the speaker in the middle. Yes.
Yeah, so that's like the traditional thing that you'll see any type of Israelite camp do, no matter what group they are, right? But what we do is we'll also go. We just try to end up like do different things, so we're just to reach the people. So we out there on a Saturday night, we were just hanging out, trying to talk to our people. And this one instance where we noticed this girl a couple times. We was trying to talk to this Muslim brother,
Mhm.
just talking to him about the word. Because listen, we deal with both. Like we'll go into the Quran and I gotta know the Quran to refute the Quran. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't just say, "Oh no, the Quran's wrong." I gotta know what surah and ayah to go to prove to you that you should be following this book and not that book. You know what I'm saying? So we were talking to this Muslim brother, and he's got this girl that we would call a heathen. Like I think she was like Moroccan or something on that nature, right? We would call her Ishmaelite. She was like just being unruly, real rude
Why?
to us.
Why would you guys call her that? Just because of where she's from, or because of her actions or her behavior, like her
Like the
lifestyle?
heathen? You mean the
Yeah.
heathen? Well, in the Bible, anybody who is not of our nation would be a heathen, right? So it's like it's just more about who you are, right? So like it's different nations of
So
people.
what? I thought that was a goyim, not a
Yeah, goy.
goyim,
Yeah, you could say goy, goyim, heathen. It's
a
all
Gentile.
Gentile. So like the thing is like what gets misconstrued is that goy is like the Hebrew word, right?
Hmm.
Goyim in the paleo is the nations, right? And that just means the other
Of the
like
goy people, the people that aren't part of your tribe.
right, who are another nation, right? Or you could
Yes.
say the stranger, or you could say it's different aspects of it. And depending on the context, is what it means, right? But heathen just
Okay.
means like kind of like somebody of another nation that's especially like if you're trying to not be nice about it, it's like, okay, yeah, she was unruly and she's not of our people. So it's like she's a heathen. So it's not like somebody we even try to edify
Educate.
or talk to, right? You know what I'm saying? So but he
Hmm.
was with her. So we talking to him, and listen, man, we I ain't gonna hold
And
you
he
like
was a
the
so-called
brother, like
black.
he's
Okay,
a
yeah.
so-called black man, right? So we talking to him, we trying to build with him. We bringing out scriptures both in the Bible, we bringing out surahs and ayahs. And I thought the conversation was going good and all, but the girl was just like what winds up happening a lot is like is like we always believe that things are spiritual. So it's like we don't be thinking that we're dealing with the carnal man, we're dealing with spirits.
The
And so
spirits of the Satans. Yeah, 'cause that's what I was gonna add to earlier when you were talking about how when people get like so enraged, just by the words of the scripture and stuff like that. I feel like sometimes you gotta attribute that to actual demons. Like, are
yeah,
you
absolutely.
possessed right now? Like, are you fighting back? Like, that's how it looks in the movies.
That's how it looks in the movies, and that's what like we know that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, the Bible says, but spiritual, right? So we're like we fight a spiritual battle every day with people. So it is about spirits, bro. It's just like we try to give the word of God. His spirit is like weaved throughout the word, right? Through His word, and that spirit is what's hitting people in your spirit, and it's like depending on how you deal with it, it's just like if you have certain demons on you, if you don't have certain demons on you, right? So the guy was like he was trying to talk to us, and we could see we was getting somewhere with the brother, but the girl was just like not with it. She was trying to line us like, bro, she was lying on us, she was saying crazy shit. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. We started going out there a couple like every other week, basically, going to New Brunswick out there in Rutgers, Jersey. We out there. We wound up not seeing the brother again the next week after we talked to him. We had our dialogue. He wasn't really feeling it. We went our separate ways, you know. But then the next week we saw the girl. She sees us out there. Now she's like badgering us and she's doing all this stuff and she's making jokes and all this stuff. And that's cool. It's whatever. But what wound up happening was one of the brothers that we was with, we're just out there talking. Like not like I said, not standard camp. We just it's like three, four of us deep. We just out there just talking to random people. We all doing our own thing, just talking to people about the Bible. She winds up that same girl from the previous week. She comes out and she like literally calls the cops on Brody, one of the brothers, and was like, he hit me and he pushed me, he mushed me in the face. Some crazy false accusation, false witness, right?
Mhm.
And the cops come, they had to take a statement. He was like, oh yeah, we got to take a statement because she said it. And we know it's not true. It's literally mad cameras right here in this corner store. So they get the camera footage, all this stuff. We know she's lying. But it was just like she was really trying to line my man up. Like, I don't like I don't, just because like she don't like us, and I get it.
Yeah,
Like we don't like her either for the most part, but it was interesting. Like we would never like go. I'm never gonna go and lie on a white man and do a false witness on him just because I don't like him. It's like that's not what we do. So I'm saying so it was just interesting to see that that's how she decided to take that step and go that approach. So it was crazy. Like the cops came, we dealt with them and we dealt with them and they went their separate way. My man didn't have to go to no jail, nothing like that. He was fine, but funny
yeah,
enough, man, this is the way it's comes spiritual is like literally within like the cops leave. This is where the story get kind of look crazy. Cops leave. We still doing our thing. We not bothered by her. She's still lingering around in this group of kids, right? Of like the college kids. And fight breaks out in the pizza shop. That's right there where we kind of where we at. There's a brother, he's fighting this dude. His nose is bloody. Dude winds up running off. He comes out the pizza shop and he's upset. And one of his girls is trying to console him. She's like, "Nah, fuck
yeah.
all that. Get out of my face, right?" And then the girl that put the false report on us, she just walks by the nigga, right? And the nigga just like straight up mushes her in the face, falls on the ground right before our feet, bro. Like so that was like for real. We was just like praise God because the thing is like what we feel is like our God fights our battles for us, bro. So
That's
a
random.
girl could just make a false witness about us in 2 seconds. Our God don't play about us, bro. It's like out of nowhere now. Somebody put
That
hands.
should
I ain't
actually
gotta
really
touch you.
happen to you.
Yeah, I ain't gotta touch you, bro. Something gonna happen to you. You touching, you messing with God's prophets, bro. It is what it is. So it's stories like that that happen here and there, either with our people or people who are not our people. Like they get upset with us. They try to fight us from time to time. It's a part. It's part for the course, bro. Part of the job description. But yeah, that's a couple of things that just happens here and there.
Yeah. Can you also tell me about? I remember you told me last time about you actually had this is like kind of like the thing that's always like talked about with you guys that you guys have the white people kiss your feet. You
Right.
said that that's happened to you. You told
That
me
is
once
happening in our
before.
camp.
A couple times actually. You told me.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Can you
It's not
bring
something
me
that
back
we
to that?
we. Oh, so you want to elaborate on that a little bit more? Yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. So we don't like that's not the mission, right? So
Hmm.
what we wind up doing is sometimes the things like we'll bring out certain scriptures to try to see if people will do it, right? We're not like, yo, you gotta get down right now, kiss our feet. It's none of that, right? But we believe that it's become the guilt of these people that they feel like, listen, we tell them like, listen, what you've done is wrong. And listen, if you want to get a lighter judgment in the next life, bow down basically, right? And that's the stance we take, right? We kind of just fucking with them. We don't care if it happens or not, but it's just like it's just good for like YouTube and it's good for just shit like that. But like that's like say if like we're at camp and there's nobody like we trying to talk to our people, but then like some white man comes up and starts asking mad questions, and we just we'll tell him his judgment, and then we'll just like we might hit a couple of scriptures about like you should bow down to us basically, right? So it happens, but it's not like the main thing that we do, bro. It's not like I gotta tell these people that you gotta come kiss my feet. It's not like that, bro. But I wanted to pull up one quick little precept
Hmm.
thing from the Bible. And so this is Jeremiah chapter 28, verse 8, right? The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence, right? So that's what we out there to do, right? So we're out there to edify our people, but we're also out there to put judgment on what we call the other nations for what they have done and tell them what the judgment for what they've done is going to happen to them, right? So from when we lead with that, it winds up being like, oh, how can I like not, how can I circumvent that judgment? And then we'll be like, okay, you know what? Well, we basically will tell them like, oh, if you kiss our feet, you might get a lesser judgment in the kingdom. Like, so we'll say shit like that. And it's just like, but that happens very rarely, right? It's like the main point that most camps are doing. Like, what they'll, you see it is because those camps put it out on YouTube, but brothers is out there, every day of the week doing the work, right? So it's like, out of all the interactions, you might get one where we go crazy, like we'll go crazy and start like yelling on like a heathen or yo, wait, white man, come in, kiss my
Yeah.
feet. It's like if they come up and just on our spirit to do that, we'll do it. But the main point is really just to wake up our people to keep the laws of God, right? So like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not
it happens, but it's not the main thing. Exactly.
yeah, I get it. I get it, okay.
Hope that answers the question.
No, yeah, I get it. It's just it's not a main thing, but that's part of it's become at some point in time it became a thing, and when it pops up in the conversation, it's like, hey, yeah, let's do it, type of thing.
Right, exactly. To some degree, right? It's like you see it on YouTube because they post it on YouTube. But if you were coming to the camp every week, that happens maybe, I would say from my camp experience, it happens maybe twice a year. Maybe like what was one last year, it happened a couple more times, but maybe like 2 to 3 times a year, bro. It's not like the main thing, bro. It's like we don't be asking like that. And if they're done and we ask and they do it, then we're like, all right, we're gonna put this on YouTube for sure to get laughs about it to the people, right?
Yeah,
Because we want people to see like, what the how would I say this, right? So how things have been happening for the last 500 years is right is that the white man has had, you probably heard about it in school, it's called the Renaissance, right?
mhm,
What does Renaissance mean? It's just a French word that means rebirth, right? The white man used to be in power during the Greeks and the Romans. They got out of power for a couple thousand, for like 1,000 years. And then when the Renaissance happened, that's when you see them take back over the world, right? And from that point, it's always been like they've forced people to kind of bow down to their way to believe that they're superior. Not always covertly or overt. It's not always overt, but it can be covert at times too. And to the extent that our people still think of these people as either better than them, right? When we would teach that they're not better than you, right? So it's just we use it and we use it as a tool to show people that no, you're supposed to be above these people in every way, right? And this just to get them to understand that maybe to see it. When you see it, we're like visual, our people are visual people. So when you see that, you like, oh shit, let me see what these brothers are talking about. Because they're getting some white man to bow down to them, right? So it's just like that is just another tool to try to bring our people in, bro. It ain't, and some people they're offended by it. Some of our people are like, oh, why you got that white man bowing down to you? And some people they listen, they're like, oh wow, that's fire. I want to see and acquire more. So, bro, it's just a tool, bro. But it's not like a main staple of like, oh, we gotta get white people to bow down to us right now. It's
no,
not the
yeah.
yeah.
So I got a couple more questions. So one of the main things I had to ask is like, what are the, and this is all obviously things that I could just fucking Google myself, but
Yeah.
what are the origins or who was the originator of the movement in general in the United States? So in general, like, did this originate somewhere else and come over here? Like, I don't know. You got it? Like, let me know.
Okay, so I will to answer that question, most people will say, and even people who are opponents of the Hebrew Israelites, the main person that winds up coming up the topic is the elder Bivens, right? People will call him Abba Bivens. We trying to stay away from that because uh Christ tells us to call no man father, right? Abba means father in Hebrew. So we don't call him Abba Bivens. We'll call him Elder Bivens, things of that nature. But he was kind of the one that kind of like mixed up because like you learn a little bit about the history is like the commandment keepers, and there's a couple other brothers that were doing like practicing like basically like Black Judaism, like
Yeah.
learn from the rabbis of those people of like the European Jewish man, and
Mm-hmm.
then just trying to amalgamate it and like take it for themselves because they saw it as their culture, right? Abba Business is like the one who kind of said like, oh no, we should be practicing the rabbinical Judaism because that's not uh what the Bible really teaches, right? It's like when you get more into it, it's like, you know, Judaism is like the
And just sorry, real quick, what's around what
what
time is this?
around what time is it? This is, I believe most people would date this to like, I want to say like like it started happening in the 40s with the commandment keepers. It really, I think it's in like the 69 or something like that, of like in the 70s, about basically, right? Where this kind of starts to
Okay.
kick off. I don't have the exact date right now. I gotta go check my notes somewhere, but it's around that time that where we see Abba Bivens really kind of, or Elder Bivens, start to uh stray away from the commandment keepers, where that was the group and the faction in Harlem that was kind of leaning more towards like the Jude, like the rabbinical Judaism, and just kind of
Hmm.
putting their twist on it and calling themselves Israelites, versus like, okay, nah, we should reject rabbinical Judaism because that's not Torah. That's not like the Bible. Like when you learn more about like rabbinical Judaism, is like they believe in something called the Talmud, and
Hmm.
they believe that there's an oral transmission as law as well as the written transmission, and they sometimes put that oral transmission over the actual written transmission, which is the Torah, like the law and the prophets. So we don't practice rabbinical Judaism. If you like, we don't practice really any form of Judaism. But if you had to put it on it, staple on it, it would be more of a what you would call a Karaite Judaism, which is like strictly Torah and Tanakh, like the laws of God, like laws of Moses, those books, and then the prophets, and no oral transmission like the Talmud. So that's when you kind of saw that faction of like, okay, the commandment keepers were doing more rabbinical Judaism. Elder Bivens was more like, okay, nah, we're not doing that. We're gonna kind of go this way, and then from there births the One West movement that was on One West 125th Street, right? So that was the start of it. Like most people, most Israelites would put it on Abba Bivens as, or like I said, Elder Bivens, who started the Hebrew
Yeah.
Israelism, what people would call it.
Okay. All right, Dan, that's interesting. I've never heard of Elder Bivens. I gotta
Yeah,
do my
that's like,
homework
that's,
on.
if you look into it, that's the name that most people will attest to, is Elder Bivens. Like you said, but you look it up online, it'll probably say Abba Bivens. I could send you a couple of. He wrote a book as well that kind of will tell you kind of his thought process. It was a small little book. It's
Like the
called
pamphlet.
Marks. Yeah, it's called Marks of a Lost Race. I can send you a quick little PDF about it. It's quick, but it's like a little history about why he did it, when he was doing it. Like it's a little bit more attestation to what he was going through in his life at that time. So
Okay.
yeah, Abba Bivens, Elder
All right.
Bivens.
All right, nice. Definitely, definitely. So and then from there, how many so what was his did he have a specific church or group that he created?
Oh, he was just kind of doing his own thing. People started coming towards him, like, with, to fast forward a little bit after Abba Bivens, is like then you start to see the people who learn from him, they create One West, right? So One West like becomes out of that, and that's what you see like that. It was always kind of started in Harlem, started in New York, and then like they created a school called the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. I'm blanking a little bit on the acronym, but it was basically the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, and that was kind of the school on 125th. And we have elders that kind of, about eight or so elders that came out of that when that split up, and then they all kind of went and made their own camps, which you see today, right? So there's definitely factions in the Hebrew Israelites, but it's more like started with Abba Bivens. You get from Abba Bivens, you get One West. From One West, you have about eight teachers who, like, they were together at one point doing the work in like the late 80s into the 90s. What winds up happening is, and again, I got to do more research on myself in terms of the history. I know a little bit about it, but it's just like what winds up happening is like this 2K thing. Like when I talk to my elders about it, all these dudes, like, they were focused on, oh, listen, Christ is coming back the year 2000, because they were mixing up Y2K and a couple other prophecies that are in the Bible to try to say that, oh, listen, sell your houses, do this and the third. And there's a lot of things that were happening with those elders that was like, it caused a great faction, and like people were asked out of their properties, out of their homes, because they believed these niggas that was saying like, oh, Christ is coming back the year 2000, sell your house, sell your car, sell this and the third. And a lot of our brothers got effed up. And so there was a great split. The kind of thing kind of fizzled out, but a couple of the main teachers just went their own way. They started going west, they started going Midwest, they started going south. And that's how the camps kind of even grew more than that, because those 8 people who learned under One West, or like the main teachers, they branched out and made their own camps. Like my camp, Sakari, like the leader of my camp, his name is Alazar. They call him Guerrilla Hebrew. He he comes out of a group called GMS. GMS is the main leader of GMS is his brother Elder Apostle Tahar. Tahar was in the original One West school. So that's how, like, I would show it how the branch off happens. Is like these brothers who were in the One West and who didn't lose the faith from what happened with the Y2K thing. They split off, they become their own separate things, and then you have even more offshoots from there. Like the main Israelite camp that you hear about, big out to them brothers, they're the biggest camp, like the biggest group in all of the Israelites is the IUIC. Like they like have the most members, right? You learn about them. The brother that is over them, he again originally was teaching under like Tahar, if I'm not mistaken. And he split off and created his own camp and things of that nature. And that's how, just things happen. Like a split off from a split off from a split off. And then that's how you have the main kind of camps we have today, right? So
And do the camps necessarily have not beef with each other, but what are the differences? Like why aren't y'all unified under one banner?
that's a great question, bro. So they like we it's been a lot better, bro. We try to focus on unity more than anything now, because we understand. Like I understand why it even happened. That split is like, brother, like some certain elders and like the leadership in that One West was doing probably some wicked shit, and a lot of brothers got turned off, and a lot of brothers like scattered and split. But it's like a bad thing, and the Most High can change to a great thing, because of that split. Now, instead of it just being a central point in Harlem, there's like a bunch of people everywhere, right? So the main One West doctrine was everybody was unified in many degrees, but now you see more splits. Like certain, but I will tell you off rip, bro. A lot of it is just ego and pride. Some brothers like left the camp, left certain camps because of they didn't like what leadership was doing, and it could have been like the leadership was just they weren't doing anything against the law. They weren't doing any telling you to do anything sinful, but because of man's pride, they just wanted to go their own separate ways. So
Hmm.
like, but there is differences in us, right? So my group, we're one of the only groups that teach a lunar Shabbat. So today is for me would be like, how you learn in like churches, like, oh, Sunday is like the Lord's day.
Hmm.
Most Israelites will reject that and say like, oh no, Sunday is not the Lord's day, right? You can
Like
go
Saturday or something.
right. Some like some like a lot of brothers will say Saturday is their Friday night into Saturday is their Sabbath.
Mm.
My group and a few other and like a couple other groups, we teach a thing what is called a lunar Sabbath. So we don't go based off of the white man's Gregorian calendar. When you
Go
look
off the
into
lunar cycle.
yeah, when you look into the Bible, it tells you that the moon is named after the month, right? And the Bible tells you that a new moon is a start of a month. So the start of a month is the first day of the month. So anytime there's a new moon, that's the Sabbath day. It's the first day, and then 7 days later, you have another Sabbath day. 8 days later, or 7 days later, another Sabbath. 7 days later, another Sabbath, until the new moon comes in, and then you start the cycle all over again. But other brothers, the main that what they teach is that it's just Friday night to Saturday night. Like they have their reasons for believing that. We have our reason for believing that. So that's one difference that as a big difference, I would say, but we still obviously all keep the Sabbath and keep it holy. But that's one main thing that's like certain brothers get comfortable with, a Friday night to Saturday Sabbath, and it's like, I ain't gonna hold you being on a lunar Sabbath is a little less convenient, because it's like it could be on a Tuesday this month, and then it's on Tuesday this whole month, and then next month it's on Wednesday, and then it's on Thursday. You know what I'm saying? It jumps around. So brothers with certain work schedules, it's like it's harder to do that. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
other than that, that's one of the big ones. Bro, we really all teach the same thing. We got different understandings in certain prophecies and doctrines, but it's not major. All of us teach that you got to keep the laws of God, have faith in who the world calls Jesus Christ, and endure until the end, right? So that's like the main tenets of Hebrew Israelites. It's like waking up the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. Now you have other groups that are like not One West that teach that what we would call a Negro only doctrine. So it's like they believe that the blacks like they believe that it's just like the African Americans, the Haitians, the Caribbean people, we're the Israelites, and they don't believe that the so-called Dominicans or the so-called Puerto Ricans are Israelites, or the Native Americans aren't Israelites. So that's like a big difference. Is called like the Negro only Israelites. So they just believe that if you're on black, then you're an Israelite. If you're so-called Hispanic, you're not an Israelite. So, but that's a little more fewer and far between. But there are a few of them out there. So,
Mm.
but yeah, that's another big one.
But I mean, it's more complex with Latino groups because some Latinos are actually just white. Like not
Yeah,
all of them are, mixed with black or mainly African. You get it? Like
let me
most of
pull up
them.
quick. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, bro. So I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm gonna go quick little precept in the Bible. So this is how the Israelites. So this is a very touchy subject for some people because what most like what the Bible teaches, I'm not gonna say what we teach. The Bible teaches
Hmm.
is in a patriarchal lineage, meaning you come from who
Your
your father.
father, yes.
So if so, I'll read it quickly, real quick, right? This is
Hmm.
Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees, so like their lineage and their history. Hold on, I have to go. Time went off again. Read that again. Uh, start from the top again. And they, Numbers 1 and 18, and they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, right? So that's Numbers 1 and 18. And so when you're numbering Israel, they're saying you're going to separate and sort people by their fathers. And you see countless times in the Bible where it's based off of who your father is. Your father is an Israelite from any of the 12 tribes, and he say he gets what they an so-called Asian woman today, that kid is an Israelite because the father is an Israelite, right? The
Hmm.
man holds the seed, right? We consider the woman is the soil, right? You plant an apple seed in South America, plant one in China, they might have different characteristics because of climate and stuff like that, but they're still in the end an apple tree, right? It's still
Yeah,
an
but
apple.
don't the white Jewish people actually believe the opposite?
They believe the
Is it?
opposite. So that's
Yeah.
why, we believe, but they get that from what? The Talmud. They get that
Mm,
from rabbinical Judaism, right? So
okay.
it's countless times where why is your oral tradition, which is the Talmud, contradicting the Bible, like the Torah, which is considered the word of God, right? What God gave to Moses to do. You're going to tell me that what a rabbi said is overcomes what God said, right? So that's a big issue with why there's a lot of contradictions in what Orthodox Judaism or rabbinical Judaism teaches versus what the actual Torah teaches. So
Mm.
yes, that is exactly what happened. They believe in a matrilineal for some reason, but the Bible, I just read it for you. They assemble their houses based off their father. It's not off of your mother, right? So that's kind of how it's always been. So to get back on the point of like the Latino, so yes, I agree. It could be a lot that are mingled with so-called Spaniards, and they're not, right? But for those who are, you can trace back to like your patrilineal, like you're an indigenous person of the Americas, right? So-called, you would be an Israelite by and large, right? So that's kind of the difference between the Negro onlys and the Hispanic. And one last tip is that they found over like 2,000 Hebrew artifacts on the island of Puerto Rico.
Mhm, yeah.
How the hell is that? How the hell is that a thing if they're not Israelites? You know what I'm saying? Like, or they're not at least Hebrew, if you want to believe that. Like, because Hebrew is just a language, and there was many people who spoke Hebrew, right? But it's countless little tidbits and things that you can look into.
I mean, is
Chief.
it Mexico? Is it Mexico a Hebrew word? Doesn't it come from like Mexico? I'm not sure what the exact etymology
We would say
of
the
the word,
Azteca. Well, the original, like again, is like they have the name Mexico now, but they were the
but it's like
Aztec.
Mexica. It was Mexica too, also.
Okay, I gotta look more into that, but I think I've heard that before. But I know what
Because
we
and
would
that's related to Moscow, like because you know how Moscow
Moscow.
is a Jewish name too.
Oh,
You gotta
Moscow. Okay.
Moscow, yeah.
Oh, okay. What I would say is like Aztec, we would say that there's connections to the Hebrew with that to a word Aztecan, which means
Mhm.
like time basically. And when you look into the Bible, we would classify the so-called Mexicans as the tribe of Issachar. You learn in the Bible that the people of Issachar, the tribe of Issachar, were good with telling the stars and the times. And you see that
Okay,
through obviously
nice.
the Mayan and the Aztec calendars. Like that
Calendar, yeah.
was their blessing. Like when you read in the you read in Deuteronomy 30, believe in Deuteronomy 33, and you read in Genesis 45, you learn about these certain blessings that are going to be on each tribe in the last days or just in general, right? So like it happens with Moses telling us certain like things are going to happen to us in the last days in Deuteronomy, and in Genesis after our forefather Jacob is dying, he's telling all of the tribes like, hey, this is your blessings or what you would be known for like as well in the last days. So like those are different. We can mix the prophecy of the Bible with the archaeology and the history to come to these understandings that certain groups are the indeed the 10 lost tribes or the tribes of Israel, right? So
Yeah,
yeah, but we're strict one West in that sense of like it's so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are by and large the Israelites, not just like Caribbeans or African
yeah.
Americans.
Okay, no, yeah, that's what's up. A couple more questions I want to ask real quick because I'm running out of time. My battery's
Yeah, he
actually
says it's only gonna
dying.
be like an hour, right? Yeah, I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying.
So just real quick, so so the goal basically is well, what is the goal? To educate, but what else? Or is it just to educate? And
Well,
then the other question I had, just to get it out the way real
yeah,
quick, is do you think that the like the Black Israelites could one day have like the power that the ADO has like in America?
those are great questions, bro. So the first one
Shout out
is
to my boy Beloved. These was his questions.
all praises. Shout out to beloved. So first question was in the sense of what is the purpose of the Israelites, right? That was the
Yes.
first question.
Or the goal.
The goal, right? So the goal is, I think a lot of people get this misconstrued, is like what people are, we see different groups of people, of our people in different organizations. They're doing what? They're like you would call maybe the conscious community. And we're like, that's a very blanket statement. And we would be put in that statement, in that under that blanket and under that umbrella. But what all of them have in common is that they understand the plights and the destruction of our people, and they want to get us back to some better state, right? Israelites are a little different because we don't believe that this is where we need to be. So let me quick little precept. Okay. I think this is Revelation.
Yeah,
Okay, no, this is the book of Micah, chapter 2 and verse 10. So it says, arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with a sword destruction. So we don't have that much time, but to get into it real quick is like when you read the book of Revelation, it's like this place, America, is considered the whore, or is considered the daughter of Babylon or mystery Babylon. You learn about that in the book of Revelation. And not to get too crazy with y'all, not to put too much on you, but this place is prophesied to be destroyed, right?
yeah,
When like from our understanding is like we are the Israelites and we were brought here. Like we go back into Deuteronomy 28. We were brought here as a punishment. You read it in the book. I think I might have hit that point last time I was on here. Book of
yeah,
Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. You're gonna go on ships and be sold to your enemies in the land you don't know, right? So this is the place that we were brought to, sold to our enemies in this land as a punishment. It's not a place for us to we should be reaping economically. We should have houses and businesses, but we want our people to understand that this place is not our rest. We will have to leave this place, and we will leave this place. It's not gonna be, we're not gonna like overcome, take America back, make America great again, or whatever the hell they saying nowadays. It's we gotta
oh
get
wait, so there's a pilgrimage.
there is gonna be a pilgrimage, yes, where the elect of God, those who sigh and cry against the wickedness of this world that is of this place that's called Babylon in the Bible, America,
Hmm.
those people are going to be saved out of America and taken back to their land, right? And that's when Christ comes into play. He is going to come get us out of this place and take us back there. But we're not gonna like we don't have to die and go up to the sky and all this stuff is gonna be a physical thing where Christ the same like you read in the book of John, in the book of John, like the last chapter, or in the beginning of Acts, where Christ goes back up into heaven, and they say the same way that he went is the same way he's coming down. He went up
Hmm.
like he went up in a cloud, like on the earth, and he just rose into the air. And the angel said the same way that you saw him leave is the same way he's coming back. So he's coming out of the cloud, and he's gonna come get his people before the destruction of this place. So we're just trying to warn our people that, hey, if you want to get out of this place, you got to get right with God. You got to keep his commandments. You got to have faith in the Son. And through that, and through us getting it, I'm going to put one more precept because this is very important. Just to show you that this is how the Bible sets it up, where it's not going to be like oh, we're gonna just live here forever. It's more about God is waiting on us to get right before he comes and gets us right. So let me pull this precept real quick. Okay. So this is the book of, let me see if I should start off. Yeah, okay. It's a little longer, but I'm gonna hit it real quick. This is the book of
Now,
Revelation,
yeah,
chapter.
you can take your time. We got a little bit longer. I was able to plug my battery in.
All right, cool, cool, cool. So this is
Yeah.
the book of Revelation, chapter 7 and verse 1. I'm gonna go to about verse 4. And after these things, I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, so encompassed around the earth, holding the four winds of the earth. When you look into like certain priests will tell you that the winds of the earth can be considered as destructions or judgments, right? And it says, so for the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor any tree. And you look into like Hebrew idioms or deep sayings of the Israelites,
Hmm.
seas, and trees, and mountains are just another way of calling nations or peoples, right? The sea can be likened to people, the earth can be likened to people, trees can be likened to people, right? So just reading on, keep that in mind. Verse 2. And I saw another angel ascend from the east, having the seal of the living God, and he cried with a loud voice to the four angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Verse 3, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And last verse, verse 4, and I heard the number of them which were sealed, and they were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel, right? So this is just, I bring this up to tell you that there's prophecy about the destruction of this place, things that are going to happen in the world, and the reason why, like, you're starting to see things kick off. The reason why they're kicking off is because God is going to come back to judge this place for all the things that have done to me and you, our people. But the first thing that has to happen is that angel told the four winds, don't hurt anything else. Don't go full destruction until the 144,000 are sealed. So the prophecy is that our people will be sealed, the 144,000 elect men and their families. And that's not just 144,000 people that are going to be saved. There's all the Bible also talks about a 1/3 that's also going to be saved of our people, right? But the elect are the people who are going to rule with Christ in the next world. They have to be sealed before the judgment comes. So we're just trying to wake up. What our mission statement is, and our goal is to wake up the elect, those 144,000 men who are going to sigh and cry about this place and want to not be American. They're going to want to not be Dominican. They're going to want to not be just African American. They're going to want to be an Israelite again, right? When you learn about in the New Testament, there was a time where like the people who were living in Israel during crisis time, they were considered the Jews, and they looked down on, now in context is where things get tricky and a lot of Christians get mixed up. They were looking down on what they would call the Gentiles that were technically their people. They were Israelites, but they had taken on Gentile customs. They had become Gentiles. They had become Greeks. They had become Romans. They had become Philippians. They had become these places that they were scattered to, that the Bible prophesied they'd be scattered to.
Hmm.
And in the same way, we were scattered to all the four corners of the earth. So before I became an Israelite, I was in times past a Gentile, thinking like a Gentile, thinking like a nigga in America, in Brooklyn, thinking I can do this and then the third and not care about God's laws. I was in my mind a Gentile. But through waking up, you become an Israelite, you keep God's laws, you have faith in his son, you can be considered that elect. You can become sealed from the impending judgment that is coming to the world, right? So that's the main like point of what we're trying to teach in that aspect. So then the last point to kind of try to sum it all up about having the power of the ADL We don't give a damn about the ADL. We don't want the power of the ADL. The power that is going to be given to us in the next life is
this is a bigger than
way
that.
bigger. Like, all right, let me pull this real quick.
Yeah.
Revelation chapter 2. All right.
Yeah, where could you grab the actual like scriptures of these movements? Because so this is another, is that another difference between the rabbinical and you guys, that they don't believe in Jesus or follow his ways?
Well, I was, because we didn't get to really touch on it about how what's going on with Palestine and going on with the
Yeah.
Jewish tunnels and things of that nature. Maybe next time. But the difference is that they believe the same. Like don't get it twisted. Like when you really ask the Orthodox Jewish man, not like the people who got the curlies and the caps, they're considered more Orthodox. And I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
saw, there's a video that went out of in Israel, like the IDF was literally beating them niggas up, beating them up, like oppressing them because
Mm-hmm.
you learn about what the difference between Zionism
Yeah, I know
and
what Zionism
Orthodox
is. Yes.
Judaism is that
Mm-hmm.
the Orthodox Judaism is more on our side in the sense that what prophecy dictates about the children of Israel, they
They're not
understand that
supposed to make their
they're
homeland
not supposed to
themselves,
be there in that land because God is supposed to bring you back to
and
that
that's
land.
what you guys are talking about. Yes.
Right. And
Okay.
so, like, what wound up happening, if you know history, what wound up happening in 1948, the Balfour Declaration,
Yeah.
it was not a God didn't come down. He didn't do his miraculous miracles that he said he would do to bring the children back to his land. It was a signage of a paper, a theft of a land of a theft of a land, and then
Mm-hmm.
they got in that land, right? A man gave them the ability to live in that land, right? And then we're seeing
Yeah.
all the hell and turmoil that's coming from there. So that's what rabbinical Judaism, the Orthodox Judaism knows that they're supposed to be scattered throughout the earth, because that's what the prophecies of the Bible tell you, is that the children of Israel will be scattered in the last days. Last days meaning before because they believe in the Messiah. They don't believe that who the world calls Jesus Christ, who we call in the Paleo Hebrew Hamashiach Yahweh. They don't believe that he is that said prophet because they believe in the Old Testament, so-called Old Testament. They know that there's a Messiah that's supposed to come and save them. They don't believe that that was Christ. It's stupid. They don't know the Bible, right? So and they're not the people of the book, so it don't matter. But yes, we're not supposed to be in Israel right now. We're supposed to be scattered, facing our punishment for our disobedience that we was dictated in the book of Deuteronomy, verse chapter 28. So I hope that answers your question. No, we're not the same in that sense. But
Okay, so that brings up another. Oh,
go ahead, bro.
now you did I have something else that you had to answer or no?
No, you're just talking about asking me like if I want the power of the ADL, and I was going to bring up this quick precept in Revelation 2:27, right?
Okay,
Book
go
of
ahead. Yeah.
I'm gonna start at verse 26. The book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse 26. This is red letter. So this whole thing is like Christ speaking to John the Revelator, right? He's saying, and to he, this is the last book of the Bible. And he says, and to he that overcometh and keepeth my works until the end, to him will I give power over the nations, all the nations. Verse 20, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as received of my Father. So Christ is going to be the eternal king in the new world, right? In this, and again, like a lot of people get mixed up because like we were just talking about old world and new world. And then we was talking about geographical locale, but when you look into what like the manuscripts that we have of the New Testament were written in Greek, like we only have them in Greek,
Oh,
right?
so is it the tetra? That's damn. I was just listening to something about that tetragrammaton or something like that.
Oh, tetragrammaton is the four is tetra meaning four grammatical, like so it's like the four characters that make up the Most High God's name. The Most High God's name is not Jehovah, is not Yahweh, it's Yahweh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Paleo Hebrew does not have any vowel points. That's a whole different topic, but uh, it's just the characters are said in a specific way. Yah, Ha, Wa, and Ha, right? Yahweh all together. That's his
Mm-hmm.
name. That's Tetragrammaton, right? But the point that I was trying to make, I kind of lost it a little bit, but
Oh, my bad. Sorry about that.
that's all good. But it was just to get back on what I was saying about the nations. It's like we're gonna rule over the nations. So the ADL, like I don't ADL can like stop certain people from getting money right now in this world. They can tell Kanye to shut the fuck up. They can do that, right? But they're not going to have the power to destroy the nations. Oh, the point that I was going to say is that Christ is coming back. He's going to rule over the whole world. What the elect are going to do is they're going to rule with him. Like he's going to be the head guy, and we're going to be his governors, basically, to some degree, and we're going to be ruling the world. Lord willing, I'm in that elect, because nobody knows who's the elect, right? But for those 144,000, they will rule with Christ on the earth, right? So that's the whole point. It's like, so no, the Israelites do not want to have the same power as the ADL. They want to be able to rule all the nations, not just what's happening in America because somebody said something that they claimed anti-Semitic, right? That's not the power that we want.
Yeah.
We want the power with Christ. So I hope that answers.
Yeah, and I feel like that's kind of why I kind of like glossed over, because after like listening to the whole vision statement, which is the eventual coming of Christ,
Yeah.
and you guys going to the promised land. But that leads into my next question, which is there is no idea where this land will actually be, right?
No, no,
Or
no.
is it
It's where
or
they're taking the land. It's where they're at right now, right? They're not supposed to be. That is the land. That is like, I mean, if you're believing in that old world stuff, then yeah, you might say you don't know what the land is. But from my
mm,
understanding, Israel is there based off of like certain history and archaeology that they found there. That is the land of Israel, right? Originally, it was called the land of Canaan. You learn about the little bit of the history of the Bible. It was the land of the Canaanites. They were doing wicked things. The Most High God told us to leave Egypt and go to that land and take it back, right? Take all the people out of there, kill all the people, and have it be your land. So it was originally the land of Canaan. The Israelites came and took that land. That was the land that God gave them after they kicked the Canaanites out, right? So that's the land. Um, those people took that land now through the Balfour Declaration and other mechanisms, and they're
mhm,
there. And I'm still trying to figure out how because that's the thing, when you find out about Zionism, like a lot of them aren't religious. They don't believe in God. A lot of them are atheists. One of the
mhm.
biggest gay parades is in Israel, in Tel Aviv. The Bible that they say that they're the people of that book says that God's going to renew their heart and they won't be able to sin no more. According to the Bible, homosexuality is a sin. You can't, like, so it's just like you notice that they've taken on the customs of the Israelites and they claim to be them, but they're not really them. Like, based on prophecy, what God said would happen in those days, none of those prophecies have come to pass yet, right? So, no, those are not the real, that's the land, but those are not the people in the land. There's plenty of prophecies about how God said that those people will take the
The
land.
sons of Joseph dwell in the tent of Shem, right? Or
Well, the Lord would dwell in the tent of Shem. So that just means that God, like after Noah, his three sons, God basically all through all the Bible, through all of history of man, God has chosen a select group of people, right? It started with Adam, and then Enoch, and this person and that person. You learn through Genesis is that God said He's going to make a covenant with Abraham. Abraham, he had many sons. You learn a little bit about Ishmael, who are the modern day Arabs, we just call them Ishmaelites, but you would say mostly predominantly the Arabs today. They he comes from Abraham as well. What happens? Abraham has to send Ishmael away, and he keeps Isaac. He sends his mother away and he keeps Isaac. Isaac, it gets the promise of what God gave Abraham. Like, hey, Abraham, you're gonna be great and your seed's gonna be great. And he passes that promise of being great from Abraham, not to Ishmael, but to Isaac. And then same thing happens again. Isaac has two sons, us, Jacob, and then Esau, which is the modern day white man. The promise does not go to the white man, it goes to Jacob. And from there, we've always held that, right? Jacob has 12 sons and one daughter, and those people are the children of Israel, and that's who the promises of that rulership forever and being God's people has always been with, right? So that's from since then, that's always been who has been given to, and it's not going to be given to another people. So that I don't know if I answered your question properly, but yeah, I know you talked a little bit about it, but it's like yeah, that's how it broke down. Abraham had the promise, it goes to Isaac, and Isaac gave that promise to Jacob, not Esau. So
no, yeah, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I know that. Oh, well, I'm familiar with the stories and all
okay.
that. Well, yeah, no. Damn. So I mean, I had a couple more questions, but we ran out of time. Well, something interesting that I noticed.
Mhm. Yeah, shoot, bro. Whatever questions, bro, I'll try to answer them as best as I can.
Um, since we were talking about the ADL and stuff,
Right.
it was interesting that they had like the last time we did an interview, right? I looked at
Mhm.
I looked up the Black Hebrew Israelites, and then I saw like that they had you guys as a terrorist group, right?
That was group, yeah.
Yeah, but then that was the only thing there, right? But now when I went to go back and look at it, then they had different definitions. They're like the Black Hebrew Israelites is a terrorist group, but then they also said not all Black Jewish people are Black Hebrew Israelites, and then like it had more other shit like not you gotta like it try to break it down like just because you're
Yeah.
Jewish and Black doesn't mean. But then I found it funny because I'm like I'm almost positive last time there was no acknowledgement on that exact page
That,
of
right?
that. Yeah,
That's very
so
interesting. I didn't know that. Wow.
yeah.
Well, I think they're just playing semantics, bro. To answer you, like to really get into that, they're playing semantics because what winds up happening is like they'll say that, oh, you can be Jewish, what you'll hear a lot is that they're ethno religion, which is to some degree true, right? But what they'll say is that you can just convert into being Jewish because you've taken on the tenets of Judaism, right?
Hmm.
And it's so interesting because it's the only nation of people that can happen to. Like you have to realize that a Jew, the word Jew literally just means that you come from the land of Judea, or that you are a Judite, right? Or a descendant of the man named Judah, who is a son of Jacob. Follow me, right? So
Oh,
what winds up happening is a split, right? I told you about Israel, the split.
mhm.
Those 10 queens became the kingdom of Israel. The southern people were Judah and Benjamin, they became the land of Judah, right? The 10 tribes get scattered away, Syria, off into Arsareth. We talked about that. The kingdom of Judah stands, right? Until they're taken over by all the other groups of people. What winds up happening during the land, like the captivity and the rule of the Greeks and the Romans, they changed the name to Judea, right? It's just the land of Judea. And then the terminology that came out of that is to be called a Jew, because you live in the people who inhabit the land of Judea. They're Jews. What the Jewish man has done is said that, oh, okay, well, we live in the land of Judea and we follow some of the tenets of this Bible. So now we're Jewish and we're Jews, but they're not you can't, like, I can't now say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna follow Confucius, and that doesn't make me Asian. That doesn't make me Chinese, bro. Like that, it really is only with this and with our records that they say that, oh, because I follow this God and because I put some tassels on my shirt, now I'm a Jew, or I'm an Israeli. They don't never claim to be an Israelite. ITE, that suffix just means a descendant of. They're not the true descendants of Israel. You learn in Genesis, you learn that Israel is the name that was changed from Jacob, right? Isaac had Jacob and Esau. Jacob wrestles an angel. The angel of God says your name is no more Jacob, but Israel. That's how the name Israel is now stuck around, right? Because his name was changed to Israel. Anybody who descends from that man, Israel, is an Israelite,
Israelite. Mhm.
right? It's not, so you can't just be an Israelite. You can't just be a Jew. But they try to play semantics like, oh, you're a Jew because now you follow Judaism, which they made up, which is tenets off of the Bible, and now they're just Europeans who are actually converted to Judaism and took on the practices of our people after we lost it, and now they're saying that they're the Israeli or the Israelites, right? They never really say they're Israelites. They just say they're Israeli or they're Jewish, or sometimes they might say they're a Jew, but they're not neither of those things, bro. They're Edomites. More specifically, they're the grandson, one of the grandsons of Esau, whose name is Amalek, right? And they're the people who rule the earth right now, but they're not the true Israelites. No.
Mm, interesting. Now, definitely we touched on a lot of this interesting topics, but definitely got to get you back on our show once again because
Yeah,
it's always
bro.
a good conversation with you. It's all like, and the point of these questions isn't necessarily to be combative. Oh, sorry, my bad, my bad.
Mhm.
Real, the main point of that question was why is it that they consider you guys a terrorist group? What were some of these were they're bad actors, or is this a misnomer?
Okay, so great question, right? Yeah, that's you definitely want to harp on that a little more. So what what I have seen that they have tried to use as a way to label us, because they label us that, but the government doesn't label us that, right? They just label us as extremists, things of that nature. They don't call us a terrorist group. That's just the Jewish man with his jargon trying to do some shit, right? So the only point that they try to go to is what happened back in, like, I want to say it was like 2015 or something like that, where there was some type of attack on like some Jewish supermarket in like Jersey City or like in Bergen, something like that. And they try to
Oh
label
yes.
that man as an Israelite, but and all the presses put that out. They said, "Oh, he's an Israelite. He's that." None of the groups or the camps claimed him like, "Oh, he was that." When I looked into it more and we looked into it more, and even the FBI, I think I could try to find a report. If I can't even find it, I'm gonna send it to you.
Yeah,
But
send it. If anything, I'll edit post.
yeah, and when the FBI came and they did a actual investigation into this man who did it, right? They found, like, all they found was a pamphlet of some basically what we would call like literature, which is
Hmm.
like literally at camp, bro. We have people that stand on the line. You got the two readers, you got the speaker. Sometimes you might have people on the outskirt, and they're on what's called flyer duty. They will literally give you a piece of paper that says, "Oh, hey, check out our information. We'll hit the curses. We'll put like Deuteronomy 28 on it, the curses. You're in
Yeah.
Israel, so and so. That's what we'll do." And so literally give out thousands of flyers, bro, to literally any brother or sister that walks by. So I think what they've tried to do is they try to say that that man, or because of that, he was in that Israelite camp. But some people even said that. I think when you look into it, did more research. Like, he was jumping all around. He was into Nation of Islam. He was into this and that, and he was not in no camp. There's no evidence that he was hanging with any of the brothers in any of these camps. He just maybe he took an Israelite flyer one time. That doesn't make he's a part of our groups at all like that. So I think what they're trying to do is say like, oh, these people are violent because they like, but bro, if you understand, to go back to your question
Hmm.
from previous about it, the goal is like, we don't care about these people. Like, we don't want to do any harm to these people right now, right? And I emphasize right now, because what I read to you in Revelation 2 and 27, we're eventually going to have the power to rule over them and break them like a potter's vessel. I'm not doing that right now because I don't have the power to do it, and God hasn't even put it in my spirit to want to do that right now, right? But the day will come. But from our understanding, we're the Israelites. God has already promised us the power over these people. I'm not gonna fight them by throwing gas bomb in their supermarkets or anything like that, because God already gave us the blueprint of how we're gonna even rule over these people. It doesn't come from me trying to badmouth that Jewish man. It comes from me trying to talk to you, trying to talk to my sister, trying to tell them to keep God's laws. Because, like I read before in Revelation, this whole judgment is coming once those 144,000 sealed. So yes, we are definitely not trying to save any other these people, but it's just like we're gonna get what we deserve when we do what God says and seal that 144,000. So no, we don't have to shoot up a Jewish supermarket or do any of that nonsense that you might see other people do, like a jihad.
Yeah.
Because that's not our mission. Mission is literally just wake up the elect. That if you run into an Israelite, his mission is to wake up the elect of Israel, because that from that comes all the power and glory that God has promised our people from
And
the beginning.
only then will, once the 144,000 are sealed, only then do the end times begin.
Right. Only then will it happen, right? So, which is called the eschaton, is like you learn that, like, which is like the study of like the end times, right? In the eschaton, you learn that there's other things that have to happen in this place called Great Babylon that have to happen first. So prophecy is playing out every day, but there's certain things that we're starting to see, starting to transpire. You might have heard of the mark of the beast. That's
Hmm.
something that has to come onto the scene, things of that nature. And then from there is definitely going to be more tribulation between people, like hard times. But God will protect those people, and it all culminates with America being destroyed and the Israelites being saved out of America. And then from America, there's other things that happen after the destruction of America, right? And the thing is, we're not gonna do it. We're not trying to destroy America. Like, I'm not gonna like go build a militia and we're gonna go take on the U.S. Army and we're gonna go mow people down. Like, that's not what's happening, right? God has already destined that America is going to be destroyed by her allies. What you're seeing in Russia, what you're seeing in Ukraine, what you're seeing in Iran, what you're seeing, this is all prophesied that these nations would come against America and destroy America. So I literally don't have to do anything but teach the people, and then the prophecies will unfold. God will bring those judgments to America once I get that 100. My job is literally just to wake people up, and everything else will fall into place, bro. So we're not a terrorist group, right? We just literally are waking our people up because we want to see this place fall. That's literally what it is, bro.
Okay, and just to wrap that question up, basically, so there isn't from your knowledge, there isn't a overt uh terrorist or extremist faction of the
All
Black
the
Hebrew
Israelites know.
Israel. Yeah.
We know
Even
most of
though I
the
know that they have one that's I'm forgetting the name of it, but I just saw a documentary about one of like a white one, and they were
oh,
actually extremely racist, and I think they did some shit and
white
they went
one.
down to Mexico. It
Oh,
like a
like white
like a
people.
Jew like a Jewish like the white Jewish type of extremist group
Interesting.
that actually is an actual terrorist, like classified as an actual terrorist group.
Please send that to me because I didn't even know about that. That's kind of
Yeah,
crazy.
I'll find that. I'll find that. I'll look into it and I'll send it to you.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that. Anything that I
even
find
though
that we
they,
talk today, I
yeah,
definitely will send it to you as well.
not yet word. Okay, nah, but okay, nah, but that's what's up, man. But yeah, just it's been a great talk, bro. Let any final messages that you want to let the people know or anything?
No, I definitely we talked on all the points that were very important for the people to hear. It's just that, we as so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we gotta wake up, man. We gotta see that and like really get into reality that this place, like I brought out before in Hosea 2:10, is not our rest, right? We're not supposed to be here. This is a place of judgment. This is literally a sentencing place for us for our disobedience. And we're about to get out. Literally, we're about to hit parole, and listen, Most High God is the judge, and He's saying, "Yo, that it's about time for them to get ready." But the thing is, our evidence has to be that, hey, listen, we're following your laws again. We have faith in who the world calls Christ, your Son, and we're ready to get out of this place. And from there, He's going to let us out of this prison, and we're going back to where we belong, right? So, the point is, so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you are the true biblical Israelites. You got to keep God's laws and have faith in the Son, and then we'll start to see, and even more than that, it's just like just from even following the laws of God, we will see so much things even in our present time in this place that we call America. Our life would get better, man. There's so many laws about not being a backbiter, not gossiping, not standing idly by while your brother gets killed. Doing these things it promotes love between your people. Our people need that love the most because we just see so much evil and hatred in our own communities towards each other. But by following the laws of God, we can overcome a lot of these curses and even see our present day get better when we start to keep the laws of God. So that's my message. Keep the laws of God, have faith in the Son, and we'll be out of here. We'll
Okay.
be better.
All right, and let the people know where they can find you, man. I know last time you just gave out the YouTube for Sakari
Yeah,
and stuff like
exactly.
that.
So, still with Sakari, New Jersey, New York. We out there on 47th Street. Listen, man, anybody who wants to come and learn about the Bible, even people who aren't Israelites, you want to have some smoke about the Bible, you believe in the Bible, and you believe what we're saying is wrong, we're cordial. We can have we've had plenty of our videos show you that we have great dialogues with people of all nations about the Bible, and we reason with the scriptures at all times, right? We love when we have a good dialogue with other people about the Bible, or we love to be, this is what we love to do. We love to talk about the Bible,
Yeah.
to debate our cause. So listen, come on down. Let's talk about the Bible. Yeah, so 47th Street on Thursdays for the most part. We kind of jump around. We be in Jersey, we be in Newark, down South Jersey. Sometimes we go upstate. So, but predominantly Thursdays, we out there. Come kick it with us. You can find us on Sakari.njny on Instagram, on YouTube, basically on all platforms. Check us out, give us a follow, watch some of our videos, get edified. And our main page is just Sakari, Sicarii. That's the main camp. That's our leaders, like his main channel. He's stationed out in Atlanta, and he's a powerful brother through the Spirit of the Most High, and he can edify you 10 times better than I ever could. So for people, go check that out as well.
All right, man. I'll make sure you send me all the links too, so I can put them in the description. But yo, just like that, guys, it's been a great episode. Yo, it's been Thanks for stopping by again, bro. I really appreciate you, like, just sharing your knowledge and everything, man. And I know that, like, it's not necessarily like, even though I know this is your main mission, but you could kick it about anything. You're a regular guy. You get it, like, I
Exactly.
know, yeah, word.
You can shoot the
But
shit
yo,
about it.
word, word. But yo, just like that, guys, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Leave some comments. Like, let us know how y'all feel about the topic spoken on today. Keep the hate at a minimum. But just like that, it's been a great episode. Peace.
All right, shalom.
All right, hold on. Yes.